I am Ray, and if you want to keep living in hell, don't watch this.
Oh, you're still here?
Welcome. You see, it was once said that the mind can make a heaven out of hell and a hell out of heaven. That is because it doesn't matter so much what is happening. What matters is what we focus on. There's negativity and positivity everywhere always. And so whichever one you focus on, that will be true for you. Are you tapping into the infinite abundance of negativity and lack and scarcity? Or are you tapping into the infinite abundance of joy, love, peace? They're both there. They're both true, equally. But you see, the thing that screws over most people is that they're living from their senses alone. Only from what their external environment is telling them is true, that is what they believe, what their eyes see. And so, most people are a slave to their animal bodies. Fear, worry, survival. How many people do you think work all the time just to survive, just to barely make ends meet? A never-ending struggle. And well, it doesn't help that we kind of live in a system that is designed to take advantage of people's ignorance. All I gotta do is get you to turn on the news, and now you're in fear. Oh, bad things are happening. The universe will always be perfectly balanced. Knock it off. No matter how bad it gets, it will always turn to normal. No matter how good it gets, it will always turn to normal. The world isn't going down the toilet. It's not ending. It's always changing. But what happens? We get caught in our stupid thoughts about the way the world is. And we come to these conclusions about the way our life is. Oh, well, this is just, the cards that I was dealt. I gotta put up with it, We don't realize that we are a slave to our own mind. That prison is made up of thoughts. So we receive information from our senses. And that is how we build this little prison for ourselves. Oh, look at you. Nice and comfy. Until you're not. Human beings would rather live in a world of lies just for the false sense of security. Just to pretend that they believe, okay, I kind of understand reality. I kind of get it. And I'm fine with this. Do not underestimate the survival instinct. This is why people kill each other over their beliefs. Because this box is made up of beliefs. And if the box is wrong, if the box actually isn't protecting them, well, then their survival is threatened. I can't have you threatening my box. How dare you? This is my box. My box is better than yours. If you've ever wondered why people get triggered when you attack their beliefs, it's because you're threatening their very survival. If somebody's beliefs turn out not to be true, the box gets destroyed. And they are cast into the ocean of chaos, and most people don't know how to swim. But it was a sinking ship the whole time. People just don't want to deal with it. Meaning that to lock yourself inside any box, to be attached to these strong beliefs and ideas and these stories, you're setting yourself up for failure. And this is why people find themselves in hell. They've built the foundation of their life on something that cannot sustain them. Think about it. Would you build a house on sand or mud or something like that? Something that's always changing? Or would you build the foundation of your house on concrete? Our ideas, always changing. Beliefs, stories, identities, personality traits, always changing. Not reliable. If you build the foundation of your life attached to these things, eventually life is going to blow. It's going to huff and puff and blow you away. Then you're going to be lost in the ocean. You see, the only reason we experience hell is because of identity. Think about it. Why does life sometimes not go the way you want it to? Because something, some experience, is in contrast with who you believe you are. I want life to be this way. It's not going that way. Now I'm upset. Now I'm frustrated. Now I'm irritated. That is suffering. Because we've built the whole foundation of our life on identity, we're suffering all the time. And think about it practically. Life is never going to go exactly the way you want it to. So it doesn't make any sense to try and force reality to be the way we want. The only option is surrender and acceptance. And in this, you become free from suffering. Because you cannot be in resistance and in acceptance at the same time. But the more we're attached to our identity, the more impossible this is. Identity fuels thoughts, and it causes us to focus on certain things. It directs our mind, and where attention goes, energy flows. We all have energy. Energy goes where our mind tells it. And our mind is directed by identity. So, if your identity is negative, you're going to habitually, without any control on your part, focus on things that are negative, draining you of your energy, ruining your life, causing you to think about negative thoughts, negative stories, negative beliefs. It all comes down to this little prison. You can call it ego. And all it is made up of thoughts. You can break free anytime you want, but you have to make the decision to change, to evolve, to break free. And oftentimes, until our life gets bad enough, we don't have the desire to change. We just stay the same forever. Once we reprogram our identity to be positive, we naturally begin producing positive thoughts. We focus our mind in positive ways, and we begin experience a little bit more heaven on earth. Wow. It really is as simple as that. You got two mind buttons, down and up. Which one do you focus on more? The problem is that most of our conditioning is done in childhood. Once our brains are fully developed, it becomes much harder to change. Most people just don't know how, but it all begins with your thoughts. And if you're ready for true change, click the link below. We'll just click on here. Monster Mind Mastery. You see, because we only have control over our conscious thoughts and our conscious actions. That is how we reprogram our identity. You can consciously change the way you focus your mind, but unconsciously, there's this big machine that's truly running the show. It's called the unconscious. It's what beats your heart and digests your food. It's the intelligence of your body, and its main purpose is to survive and deal with the other instincts as well. So, if you've had a lot of negative experiences in your life, your body will believe you to be like a prey animal who is always in danger, who is always running away from threats. You'll perpetually be stuck in anxiety, in worry, in fear, because that is your body's survival mechanism. If a little mouse was not afraid, if it had balls, well then immediately you'd be like, yes, look at me, eaten by an eagle. It makes sense for a mouse to be anxious all the time. Does it make sense for the eagle to be anxious at all? Of course not. Who's gonna beat the eagle? America. You see, most of our trouble comes because we don't know how to handle this animal body. Our whole system goes something like this. We have the conscious mind that receives information in the form of patterns, and we have the unconscious body that speaks the language of feelings. So, we receive some patterns, and that causes a certain emotional response. And the stronger that emotional response, the more our body pays attention, and it records that data as memory stored in our body for survival purposes. But generally speaking, if throughout your life you've had a lot of negative experiences, which means you've felt negative a lot, your body has painted a negative picture of you, which will cause you to hyper-focus on all the negativity in the world. That is the only reason we stay stuck in hell realms. Our body has been conditioned to be afraid. And so, like the mouse, it will not allow you to express yourself fully. It will not allow you to live in an abundance, to live without fear and worry, because you might get killed. And your body's not going to allow you to do that. Your body's going to hijack your system and say, no, you need to focus on all this negativity. Look at all these problems. Deal with them. Deal with them. Because if you didn't, well, you might die. But the problem is, life, there's an infinite abundance of problems everywhere, all the time. It absolutely serves you not at all to focus on them. That is good for people stuck in animalistic consciousness, or animals in general, because animals don't have higher consciousness. We have the ability to reprogram our unconscious to believe anything. The unconscious doesn't know anything other than the information we feed it. The only word it knows is yes. So if you constantly tell yourself, I'm no good, the unconscious hears you and says, yes. If you consciously tell yourself that you're the best, your unconscious says, yes. This is why, in a mad world, the realists lose. It doesn't make any sense to look out into your life and say this is the true nature of reality, because you will never escape it, unless you force yourself to escape it. For instance, if you look around and you are broke, you got no money, and you constantly repeat this story in your head about being broke, your unconscious is paying attention. It's saying, okay, they're like a little mouse, they're living in lack and scarcity. Cause them to focus more on lack and scarcity, because if they don't, they might not survive. So in order to live in abundance, you have to grind away your life. When all you have to do is suspend disbelief for 5 seconds, use your imagination for Christ's sake, reprogram your unconscious to believe you're living in abundance, and voila, abundance magically begins flowing into your life effortlessly. Unbelievable? Try it out. It's like magic. And guess what? The mind will come along with its rational nonsense and say, oh, well, don't delude yourself, man or woman. You know, you're struggling. You need to be afraid. You need to be worried. You need to be anxious. You know, because if you're not anxious, well, you know, you just gotta do it. You want to be a slave to anxiety and worry and fear and negative thoughts? Don't listen to him. There is absolutely no rule book in existence that says you have to believe a single thought your mind tells you. In fact, it is your beliefs that shape the way you see the world, and that is the world you experience. You don't see reality as it is, you see reality as you are. Because when you believe something, you program your unconscious to say, this is the true nature. And so your unconscious causes your system to focus only on what you already believe. And all the evidence that comes into contrary with that belief will be ignored. So if you have low self-worth, you will not see any of the good things about you. They're there, we're just blind to them. Same thing, if you're programmed for abundance, you're not going to see the infinite lack and scarcity that exists. It's going to be irrelevant to you. You won't focus on it, you won't create more of it. And that is the key to all of it. Energy is the force of creation. So what we give our energy to, that is what we create. That is why it is said, for those who have, more will be given, and those who have not, even what they have will be taken. When you live from your senses, and you only look, you only focus on what you got, you will only create more of just the same. You have to tap into a different source. And guess what? Your imagination is infinite. And your body doesn't know the difference between what is real in the world and what is real in your imagination. It's all real. So you can literally program your unconscious anything. Doesn't matter how unrealistic it is. Maybe you can learn how to fly. Have you ever thought of that? Maybe you could fly, you can grow some wings and flap around like a chicken. Just imagine yourself, visualize being a chicken. The thing is, energy is life. And so when we focus our mind on negativity, it causes us to lose life. And where life is not, death is. And with death comes suffering, misery, hell. That is why the religions, they say, hell is eternal death, heaven is eternal life. Sin, which means to miss the mark, is the process of pointing your mind in a way that causes you to lose life, to lose energy. And virtue is the opposite. We're pointing our minds in ways that cause us to gain life, to gain energy. Things that make us feel good, things that make us feel better, and things that make us feel worse. And every day we have this balance, we have this ratio. And depending on your identity will determine, the natural ratio that you focus on. If your identity is negative, you'll naturally focus on negativity. If it's naturally positive, you'll be a winner. That is why some people succeed in life. That is why others fail. Simple truths that many are unaware of. That if we just paid attention to it, that we could change and become free from any situation. First, by changing the things we focus on. By becoming more aware. To realize that, what we give our attention to creates our life. As the Buddha said, we are what we think. All that we are arises with our thoughts. And with our thoughts we make the world. If we were to consciously begin living an intentional life, looking out at the world and saying, do I like the world that I'm living in? And if the answer is no, then change your thoughts and you can change your life. And if you want to change your life, click the link below. After living in hell for 7 years because of my stupid thoughts, I took everything I learned and packaged it into a little box for you. 90-day path back to freedom. Don't allow your thoughts to ruin your life any further. I am Ray. Much peace and many blessings. And remember, just be.